Finally getting around to sharing my birth story as a first-time mom to twins, so if you'd like to find out how that went, then just keep on watching. It all started on July 30th when I had to move out of one rental house that we were in, and we had to move into another rental house. So pretty much the whole family was like helping us pack and get all moved out from the old house to the new house, and my sister was like, don't do too much heavy lifting or anything like that, because obviously I was like very pregnant at that point. I was like 32 weeks, but it's like my stuff, and also I like things done a certain way, so it was kind of hard to just sit there, but I did my best. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't carry any heavy boxes, but I also wasn't just like sitting there. I was like moving things here and there and stuff. So then pretty much we finished up, and then we took the last trip to the new house, went back to the old house, we cleaned it up and everything really good. And then the electricity wasn't turned on at the new place, so my sister let us stay with her for the night until the next day, which is when they were going to turn everything on. Well, when we were at my sister's and I woke up the next day, this was when I was 32 weeks exactly, so I guess the day before I was at like 31 weeks and 6 days. Woke up, I got out of bed, and then I felt like a little trickle, but it was just like a tiny little trickle, and I was like, did I just pee or but I had an appointment with my maternal fetal medicine doctor, which is my high risk doctor, that day. So like that same day, it was like literally a lifesaver. And I was like, I wonder if that was like my amniotic fluid. I wonder if like my water bag just broke. And so I'm like, I'm gonna ask when I go to that appointment. So we go to that appointment, and then I tell the doctor there what happened, and she's like, it sounds like it could be your amniotic fluid or your water bag breaking, but you might want to call your OB or your delivering hospital and tell them and see if they want you to come in or what they want you to do. I didn't want to waste any time calling my OB. I called L&D because they had given me a number to call in case of any emergencies after, I think, like week 24 or something. I called them and they were like, yeah, like go ahead and come in. So I went in, and then they essentially did some tests on me. They did like a swab thing that they sent in to see if it was amniotic fluid, as well as like a cervical check as well. And so then once they did everything, they went ahead and they confirmed like, hey, your water bag is broken. And so because your babies are only at 32 weeks, like I live in the Austin area, but we had to essentially be admitted to a hospital that was an hour away in Temple, Texas, because that hospital was with the hospital group that I was delivering, which is called Baylor Scott and White, but they had a NICU, whereas the ones here locally don't have a NICU, not the Baylor Scott and White hospitals. So then I was like, okay, it was kind of scary, but I was like, because I was like not prepared, like my hospital bag wasn't even finished. Like I had started packing it, but it wasn't finished. And so I was like, okay. So then I just pretty much, I was with my mom, so, and my husband was at work, so I asked him to go ahead and like pretty much bring my hospital bag. And they said that they were going to have to call the hospital over there, and they were going to have to confirm that I had to be admitted, and then they had to transport me via ambulance just in case, which was kind of like scary. I had never been in an ambulance before. It was interesting. So they admitted me to the Baylor Scott and White in Temple, and then that's where I spent the rest of the time. Say the rest of the time, I mean that pretty much until the babies came. The reason why is because since my water bag was broken, there was a chance of possible infection, and just to make sure that the babies could be safe in their little home, they essentially admitted me when I got there, and they were like, we're not letting you go until you deliver the babies. And they were talking about a possible delivery date of like somewhere around 34 weeks, because that's when they could keep them in there safely, and then also it would be best if they were born at 34 weeks or after. So what they had to do was steroid shots, like on me, but for the boys' lungs, and then also they were giving me medicine to prevent infections, because with the cervical checks and with my water bag just broken in general, there's a possible chance of infections. So yeah, pretty much it was like around the clock monitoring and medicine and shots. So it wasn't fun, but it was necessary. So now we are on August 1st, and I had a little bit of bleeding, and so I got kind of scared. I was like, oh my goodness, like, am I going into labor? Apparently it was just a little bit of bleeding from the cervical check that they had done at the hospital here locally in Austin. And then I started having like what I thought was the beginning of Braxton Hicks that day. And then the boys were also having non-stress tests done on them as well, pretty much around the clock. Just like I was being monitored, they were being monitored as well. But it was comforting to know that like their little hearts were sounding perfectly at that point, and they were moving normally as they did before. But at that point, I felt super comfortable. The nurses were all super kind, and they were really nice to me. The doctors were all great as well. They were funny, kept making jokes and making me laugh and things like that. So I was having a good time there. I was getting 3 meals a day, which, I mean, they weren't the best thing in the world. I had to like get salt packets and bring my own like hot sauce from home because I need spicy on everything. And then yeah, I mean, I was getting all the supplements I was taking at home, so like they were taking good care of me there. We are now on August the 4th. I lost a little bit of my mucus plug this day, but they told me that it could possibly regenerate, and then I was having contractions every 10 minutes, and then later on it was every 4 minutes, but they weren't super painful at that point. It just felt like my stomach was tightening a little bit, and then it would go away. And then now we're on August 3rd. This day my contractions were still about every 3 to 4 minutes apart. So I was not like going into immediate labor. They were like, get up, walk around, try to avoid cabin fever. So my husband and I took a walk around the hospital grounds. They had a nice little prairie garden there. So it was nice to just be able to get out and see something beyond the 4 walls of my room. And on August 4th, the contractions started getting a little bit stronger, and then they also had somebody come in my room and teach me how to start self-expressing, because the goal was to be able to breastfeed, and I was going to be delivering the week after that. I was feeling very crampy. I was having lots of nausea, and I was also having hot flashes, but I was still like desperate to get out of the room and just go for a walk. So my husband and I went out for a walk again that day. On August 7th, they went ahead and they confirmed that we would most likely be inducing me on August 11th. And then also they had a social worker come talk to us about Ronald McDonald House, which is a place that allows you to stay close to the hospital that you delivered, free of charge, just to be close to your babies, especially like in cases of like NICU or PICU care, or like if your kid is in the hospital and you live like an hour away or more. They allow you to stay at this place for free, and it's like a hotel basically. I mean, you have to bring your own food, but besides that, it's like a nice room to stay in, a nice comfy bed to sleep on. Like, it's like a nice place, honestly, and it's all free. August 6th, my contractions weren't getting any worse. They were kind of staying where they were at, so I decided to go take a walk by myself because my husband went to work that day. So I just went out for a walk. A friend of mine had sent me some money, so I went to the hospital gift shop. I got myself some stuff there, and then the next day, my husband was actually able to stay at the hospital with me, so we went ahead and we took another walk, but that's when things got worse. I started cramping really bad, and when we got to the room, I checked, and I had lost some more blood, and I could tell that it was probably some of my mucus plug as well. When I called the nurse in there, she told me that your mucus plug can regenerate, and they decided to just go ahead and put me on the monitors also. And what we saw was, at that point, my contractions were about every 10 minutes apart. The morning of August 2nd, that they were about every 10 minutes apart, and then that same afternoon they put me on the monitors again, and they noticed that my contractions were about every 4 minutes apart. And they weren't super painful at that point. It just felt like my stomach would tighten for a minute and then it would release. Next day was August 3rd, and there wasn't much change. My contractions were about every 3 to 4 minutes apart still. Next day, on August the 4th, my contractions were getting stronger, and then they also had somebody come in my room and teach me how to self-express some colostrum, since I was going to be planning to deliver the week after that. And then my symptoms were I was feeling very crampy, I was having hot flashes, and I was also having nausea. On August 5th, I had some doctors come in my room and tell me that for sure we were planning on inducing me on Sunday, August 11th. And then I also had a social worker that came in my room and told me about the Ronald McDonald House. It's a charity where they work with local hospitals, and then if a parent of a baby that's staying in the PICU or the NICU lives far away, so like we lived an hour away from the hospital that I delivered at, then you can stay at this place free of charge. It's kind of like a hotel, honestly. You just bring your own food, but you have a nice bed and your own room and your own shower and everything like that. So it was honestly a huge blessing. So we just had to apply for it and then get approved for it. So we put in the application that day, and then we pretty much got approved for it since we lived super far away, and my boys were definitely gonna have some NICU time. So then on August 6th, I had the doctors come in there and talk to me. They came in every morning to just update you on what the plan was for that day or going forward. And so what they told me was that on the day that they were going to deliver the babies, they would do one final ultrasound to check placement of the babies, because as far as we knew, baby A, Nathaniel, he was head down and he was ready, but Ian, which is my baby B, he was breech, and so he was head up and feet down. And so they were like, if we have somebody that's able to deliver him breech, then we can do that, but if not, then we'll need to have you in an OR just in case we need to do an emergency C-section. And that was my worst fear. I did not want to have to recover from both a vaginal and a C-section. That would just be terrible. August 8th, I decided to go on a walk around the hospital again, just because the cabin fever was getting pretty bad at this point. But by the time that I was out on my walk, my contractions were like pretty bad, so I decided to come back to my room. One of the nurses ended up bringing me a heating pack, and I just drank some water and rested, and then the cramps went away. I did do some monitoring on my boys, and we saw that they were happy and they were healthy, and then that afternoon we did some more self-expressing as well. So we are finally on August 11th. They decided to go ahead and induce me at midnight. At 12:49, my doctor came in there and she gave me some fluids. Her and the nurse were in there. They gave me some fluids, and then the doctor wanted to go ahead and do the ultrasound to see what the next and best course of action was going to be. So then what they decided to do was go ahead and induce me with medication as well as the Foley balloon, which if you've heard of the Foley balloon, it's not good. It's very painful for some people, and so I was pretty nervous for the whole thing, but they kept checking it, and then eventually I had to go to the restroom really bad, so every time I had to go to the restroom, I would just get up, and I had to use the restroom twice, so I would get up and I would just go to the restroom, and I would just use the restroom as normal, and then she did say that I just had to watch out because sometimes the balloon could come out. First time nothing happened, and then the second time I was using the restroom, I just felt like some pressure, and then the balloon fell out, and then a bunch of blood, so that was my bloody show. Then a doctor came in to check my cervix and see how dilated I was at that point since the balloon came out, and then she said that I was at 5 centimeters dilated, so she decided to call the anesthesiologist to go ahead and administer my epidural, because I definitely wanted the epidural, and they highly recommended it with twins anyways. And then they also went ahead and decided they wanted to go ahead and give me Pitocin so that we could kind of speed things up as well. And once that was at 10 centimeters, they were going to go ahead and wheel me to the OR. So at this point, it was just kind of waiting until then. I had the Pitocin, and then I also had fentanyl that was helping me with the pain before I got the epidural. I forgot to mention that, or I don't know if I did mention that. I think I forgot. But anyways, I had fentanyl, I had Pitocin. I had all the drugs literally, and so I was just feeling really nauseous. I actually ended up throwing up when we were waiting for me to go into the OR. And then August 11th at 6:47, they went ahead and checked me to see how far dilated I was, and then the doctor goes, "You're at 10 centimeters, you're ready to push." And I was like, oh my goodness, it did not feel real at all, but they basically got everything ready and then went ahead and started wheeling me towards the OR so that I could deliver my babies. I was pretty nervous, to say the least. I was very scared of childbirth. I felt like I just didn't even want to do it, and I know you hear that all the time. That's so uncommon, but I had headphones on, a calming, soothing playlist. I had like a cool rag around my neck. I had a pillow behind my neck. That was my pillow from home. I was trying to just be as comfortable as possible. So they went ahead and they pulled me from one bed to another because I was admitted to the hospital for 2 weeks because my water bag had broken. If you went back and watched those videos, then you'd know. I was put on that other bed, and then by 7:15 p.m., I think it was like either 3 or 4 pushes later, my baby A, Nathaniel, he came out, and then they were like, your baby B is breech, but we can try to flip him, and then if we can't flip him, we can deliver him breech. I was so thankful that the doctor felt confident enough to deliver him breech. I did not want to have to recover from both vaginal and a C-section. Then they tried to flip him. A lady was beside me for probably 10 minutes trying to flip him. It was starting to get a little bit painful, so I asked the anesthesiologist that was behind me if I could have some more whatever, anything, anesthesia, whatever, to help me. So they gave me some, and then I was feeling better. And then after that, they still couldn't flip Ian, so they were like, we're gonna have to deliver him breech. I was like, okay. So I think it was either 3 or 4 pushes. I don't remember who was 3 and who was 4, but just like a few pushes later, Ian came out. Now, when Ian came out at 7:25 p.m., he was having breathing complications. So they just showed him to me. Nathaniel, they were able to put him on my chest, and Ian, they just showed him to me, and then they pretty much had to take him right away to the NICU because he was not breathing. They had to put like a breathing treatment, I'm not sure what it's called, but on his nose, and they pretty much took him right away. Then from there, I just went to my postpartum room. They were doing the typical checks on me, trying to get me all better again. The sweet nurse, I was hungry, but I couldn't really eat anything yet, so she made me hot chocolate because I was also shaking because I got the shakes after I gave birth. And Joel, my husband, went to the NICU with the boys because he wanted to go and spend time with Nathaniel, and it was good. Nathaniel came out perfect, breathing on his own and everything. So Joe went over there while I went to my postpartum room and tried to recover, and then he took some pictures for me, tried to insert them or a video or something right here. And then the boys spent 13 and 19 days in the NICU because they were having several issues. They were having difficulty eating, they were having difficulty breastfeeding, but also eating their bottles, like drinking their bottles in general. They were both having a little bit of trouble breathing. What else? Nathaniel had high bilirubin levels, so they had to treat him for that as well. And what else? I think that was it, but they were just having a few issues where they weren't gonna let them go right away. But either way, we made it and we're all okay. They are perfectly healthy, handsome baby boys who just turned 1 year old. I'm so thankful that God gave them to me and that I'm able to be their mommy because they are just the greatest joys ever. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching my 3-part birth story. I know it was a little wild, but I appreciate y'all for hanging in, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.